We now welcome in John Harper and John Jastrzemski. And Harp, you've been around baseball clubhouses for a while, and you know how fleeting chemistry can be. So how will swapping Semien for Nimmo impact the Mets clubhouse?
It's a great question, Eamon, because, look, you hear a lot of good things about Semien, a clubhouse guy, and what he'll do defensively and all that stuff. There's a lot of intangibles. But Nimmo was one of those guys, too. And nobody played harder. He was good in the clubhouse. So I think they need to see more out of this guy, Semien, for this to be a win for the Mets. I mean, I know the trade is all about creating new flexibility, and I like the idea that Stearns was willing to break up the core, do all that stuff, but just in a vacuum, this trade is not a win for the Mets, I mean, unless Semien has a big year, because Nimmo is still a pretty good offensive player. I like the idea that they got out from underneath the rest of that contract, but for them to do, they got to do more offensively in terms of what they do to replace him in the outfield. But Semien has to be a player. He can't just be a clubhouse presence, JJ.
No question about it. Look, Brandon Nimmo was a clubhouse presence. Marcus Semien is, by all accounts, a great guy, a likable guy. He's played on winning teams in Texas. But this is about what he provides defensively at second base. Can he find an offensive renaissance after the last 2 years have been underwhelming? But the most important element of this trade, you hit on it, it's the idea of telling the Met fan the status quo in the core from a year ago was not going to be run back because of what happened over the final 3 months of the year, and the idea of having some newfound versatility to go and add, I don't know, Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, Byron Buxton.
As long as they're going to do that, and it's not going to be all about run prevention, and Jeff McNeil's not the left fielder.
But I think you have to assume the Mets, with the way Cohen has spent, with the aggressiveness that they've run this organization.
Could be the guy.
But it could be Ben plus another outfielder. That, I think, is what the Mets' MO is going to be.
All right, let's focus now on the infield now, because the Mets have a glut of young infielders. So, JJ, which one do you think is the most valuable trade chip?
This is going to sound like a surprising answer because he's coming off a very disappointing season a year ago. It's still Mark Vientos to me. And I know people are going to say, but JJ, his defense stinks. You're right, his defense stinks. But if I'm looking at all of the young glut of infielders, as the way you phrased it, Eamon, nobody on the back of the baseball card has as productive a year as Mark Vientos had for the Mets in 2024. So if I'm a front office type and I'm evaluating a bunch of these talents, I'm looking at each individual player and I'm saying, well, who has the best chance to, dare I say, be a star for me? I think Beatty is more well-rounded. There's an argument to be made that Beatty would be more valuable on next year's Met team, but I'm looking at this as far as a trade chip, Harp. To me, if I'm a front office, I see Vientos and that power in 2024. Can I harness that? Can he go be a star for me?
I get that, but he's a bat-only guy. You said it. He can't play defense, can't run either, so he's not giving you much besides that bat. And we've seen the bat play, but it's got to be, it would have to be on the right team. I would say I'd go Jet Williams, just because, you know, look, all these Met players, young players have gotten a chance, and we've seen their flaws, right? We haven't seen the flaws of Jet Williams yet. He's a number 30th ranked prospect in MLB pipeline, so he's really a top prospect. He's a guy with great plate discipline, great bat-to-ball skills. He can play second, he can play short. So on the right team, he could really be a good piece. So trade him before you find out.
You're going with the unknown here.
Well, that's the way things are now in baseball. I mean, they want the unknown more than they want guys that you've already seen what they can't do, and we don't know what Jet Williams can't do in the big leagues, at least.
It's easier to sell to the fan base that you're picking up the number 30 prospect on MLB pipeline than a guy like Brett Beatty, who's already been up and down 6 times.
Fans all read the prospect rankings.
That's it. They're all prospect huggers. All right, guys. Here's a fun story. How about the fact there's a market for Ryan Helsley? The Athletic reporting that roughly 15 teams are interested in the reliever. This on the heels of a report that the Tigers are considering converting him to a starter. He told The Athletic he's confident he's addressed what went wrong with the Mets as far as tipping pitches. So, Harp, should either the Mets or the Yankees be among those 15 teams and hope last year was just a blip?
I wouldn't do it if I were the Mets and the Yankees. There's a lot of red flags here with me for him. Look, his fastball got hit in St. Louis as well before he even got to the Yankees last year, to the Mets last year, JJ. I mean, he thinks, I mean, in that story in The Athletic that you talked about, he talks about tipping pitches. But I think there's a lot going on here. He said it got into his head. He had to rearrange his mechanics. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to fix there. He's still got a good slider, but the fastball is very straight, and if guys are sitting on it, they're going to hit it. So I think the New York thing was part of it, but I'd stay away from him for sure.
Oh, 1,000%. Look, the Mets, they had Ryan Helsley a year ago. They saw what they needed to see. And I know they have a track record of being able to turn a reliever into a starter. We saw that with Clay Holmes. I'm not trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice. I'm going to let the sample size of the last 2.5 months speak to the fact that I wouldn't want Ryan Helsley as a part of the 26 team. As for the Yankees, once again,
I'm going back to get Devin Williams instead.
you could have him. You could be the 8th inning guy for the Mets. Listen, 8th inning for the Mets, fine. Not for the New York Yankees. Hard passed on Helsley.
Yeah, I don't think the one of those 15 teams is either in Queens or the Bronx.